Okay, so good noon everyone and welcome back to PPS lab sessions. We are continuing online here. In a previous lab session we have gone through set of videos to understand how computer works, how all the hardwares are working. We have seen how RAM works, or RAM, hard disk, processor, everything is communicating with each other, why we need RAM and so on, right? Then we have seen how hard disk works, how SSDs are created, and so on, right? What is a primary memory and secondary memory, cache memory examples we have taken. So that was the first lab session, and we have gone for the understanding part there. Yeah, someone please ask Deepak Giri to connect or join this meeting using Institute email ID. Continuously, it is popping me to allow that person, and I'm denying him. Make sure that every student will use Institute email ID here. Okay, going back to the discussion now. Well, so that was the first lab, and we have gone for that basic understanding part. Now today, what we'll do is we will jump to the C programming language. But before we start writing some program, okay, we first need to have that environment to write that code, and a compiler, because C is a higher level language. So we need to have a compiler which will compile our code, which is actually going to translate our code from high level to low level. And once it has been converted to executable file, your system can execute that code. So if you just look at your file or syllabus file, the first experiment here says that write a program to perform a calculator which will make addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and all those processes and some calculations. Now, before we do those programs, we must understand where should we write our code. Once we have our code, how we can execute that code. Now, if we go and write our code, then what is the syntax? What statements I should write? Where I should write my code? And when I say I want to print it, what should I use there? How can I print something on the screen? So all those things we need to learn. So before you start your first practical, you need to have to go through all these steps to have first C compiler installed, then have one editor which you prefer, how you can compile that code, and so on, right? So in today's session, I'm going to make you aware of all those processes. So I'm going to show you what you can use, how you can use, and then I'll give you time to make your system ready where you can write some code. And if you are not making your system ready itself, if you are using mobile phone, let's say, then I'll show you how you can still do your programs online. Okay. So let's go and have a look at it. So let's say if I use Windows operating system and I want to work with C programs, then Turbo C, okay, Turbo C is the best one that you can go for. You simply go to Google and type Turbo C or Turbo C++. Okay, just have a look at these steps first, and then I'll give you enough time to make your system ready. Fine. So सबसे पहले आप क्या करोगे? If you are using Windows, remember, अगर आप Windows operating system use करते हो, then आप Turbo C या Turbo C++ search कर सकते हो. The first links, some of the links you'll find, will give you the instructions to install that Turbo C, maybe on Windows 7, 8, or maybe 10, and so on. Do we have Deepak here now? Yeah, Deepak, leave this meeting and join back with your institute email ID. Okay. Make sure that you join this meeting using institute email ID. Deepak Kumar Giri. Quickly go and join this meeting using institute email ID. First, you log into your institute email ID and then you join this Google Meet. Okay, so let's continue now. So you simply Google search Turbo C or Turbo C++ and you'll have a set of results here, which will give you the instructions how you can install this Turbo C editor, compiler, and executor. So Turbo C is kind of actually IDE, Integrated Development Environment. Okay. So if you have a look at initial 1 or 2 results, then it tells you how you can install that thing, right? So how to install, go and download Turbo C++ first. Look, we have an algorithm here. If you look at this, it gives you the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and so on. So this is nothing but an algorithm. It gives you the instructions, step-by-step instructions. First you do this, you download it. Once you have downloaded any version of Turbo C++, if you want to install, if you have already installed, then you uninstall already downloaded one. Now then what you do is, whatever you have downloaded this file, you extract that downloaded file. And once you extract it, inside that you'll have a setup.exe file. Run it. Follow the steps to install that thing, and you'll be ready with that. Now, once you are ready on your desktop, Windows operating systems, on your desktop, you'll have that Turbo C++ icon. Now, how to use it? You simply double click on that, and later you will have this kind of blue screen where you can write your code. Okay, here you can write your code, and then from the top menu you can follow and you can perform all your processes. You can compile, you can execute, and you can do whatever you want. Even you can debug your entire code at this place. So this Turbo C, look, originally Turbo C was 32-bit operating instructions and software. On 64-bit, natively you cannot install it. So we go for the DOS box software. Now it is already combined inside this downloaded file. So it is going to load that DOS box, and from inside that DOS box, it is going to load your Turbo C, and then you can work on that. It is free, okay? So you can simply download and install that thing. Now let me have a look at few queries here. So Vyom is, okay, Vyom, I believe Vyom is actually revising the previous lab. The previous lab we have learned this, and so on. Okay. दीपक कॉलेज ईमेल आईडी से ज्वाइन हो रहा है, इसलिए अदर आईडी से ज्वाइन हो रहा है. इफ हो रहा है देन व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? गो फॉर इट. दीपक अगेन कॉलेज आईडी से ज्वाइन करो. अरविंद व्हाट इज फ्री विंडोज? फ्री विंडोज, there is nothing like free Windows concept, but yeah, look, you can install Windows freely. You can install Windows 10 freely, and it will prompt you to activate your Windows. But without activating your Windows, still you can use all the functionalities of Windows operating system. Viraj, one time repeat. Okay. Deepak, I don't have any option then. You just log out all your Gmail logins. Then log into your institute email ID. If you forgot your password, then contact ICT and reset it. Okay. Make sure that before next lab, you should do this thing. Even you require your email ID working in the WebEx sessions also. Okay, Vyom, is it compatible with Windows 7 32-bit laptop? Well, Windows 7 also need to go through this process. Okay, using DOS box, you should install it. Now, this is one option. I'm not saying that you always go for this Turbo C. This is one option where you can write your C program, okay, and compile and execute. We are going to have a look at number of different options here. So this is one article which you should follow and you'll be ready with Turbo C editor. Another article is also there where it explains how you can install Turbo C++ on Windows 10. Okay, so it is going for MS-DOS. You can download that version and follow those instructions. How to download, then installation process. There are a few alternatives also, which we are going to discuss here. Okay, we can also always go for Eclipse IDE. We can have Visual Studio C++, or we may have VS Code combined with some extensions. We can have code blocks. We can have CodeLight IDE, or you may use maybe simply you use Notepad to write your code, but you go for command line environment, command line instructions like GCC compiler. You install it, and from command prompt, you can compile and run your code. So there are a number of different ways. Okay. Well, this second article is also about how you can install Turbo C++ application on your Windows operating system. Okay. So that's one way. One thing is you go for Turbo C or Turbo C++, which gives you this kind of blue screen environment where you can write your code, and then from the top menu, you can compile it, you can run it, you can debug it, and so on. Okay. Now, this is only possible if you are using Windows, because all these options are compatible with Windows operating system. There are other ways. You can always go for Turbo C simulator or emulator. You simply search Turbo C emulator or simulator, and then again you'll have those simulator download links, and you follow those simulator processes, and again you'll have kind of a blue screen environment where you can write your code. So this is a second way of going for Turbo C, writing Turbo C code and executing it. Well, if you want to work with VS Code, okay, then what you need to do is you need to have a command line tool to compile your C code, and you need to have some extra extensions to work with Visual Studio and C code. You can Google VS Code C compiler or VS Code C language support and have a look at some of the links, articles, where it gives you what you should do. If you want to have C++ support for Visual Studio Code, VS Code editor, then this is the extension that you should install it, right? Now, once you install that extension, then you can write your C or C++ code very easily. But additionally, you need to have a compiler, because this extension itself is not a compiler. So additionally, we need to have a command line tool, a compiler, which should compile our code. So for that, there are different versions. Maybe you may go for GCC or G++ compiler, or you may go for CLang. So this article explains how you should do it. If you are using Windows, then you may also go for MinGW. Okay. So those are the different ways to have those compilers. Okay, and it gives you the steps and how you can install that thing. Now, once you are done with that extension and a compiler, both, once you follow all these steps properly, if you are using Windows or if you are using another applications, go for C, C++, GCC compiler, okay, or maybe CLang compiler. Once you install everything, then you are ready to write your first code. Now, how to write? So this article also explains, write your first Hello World program. So you open your editor. Inside your editor, maybe you access your folder, and inside that folder, you create your first file, .c or .cpp. No, we will be working with C language. So .c will be the extension. And inside your file, you write this code. Now this is actually a C++ code, and we will be writing C code. There is a difference between C and C++ code. Okay, in C, instead of IO stream, we have console standard output, standard input output, so stdio, and console input output, so conio. These two files. And instead of C out, we have printf and scanf methods. So that you will learn later. Right now, let me tell you, this code is a C++ code. We will be writing C code. But nevertheless, compiler for C or CPP, both are same, whatever you have installed. So you create your file, write some code, then you need to build your code. So from terminal, run build task and follow these steps. Whatever compiler you have installed, select that compiler, and inside your terminal window, you will have that output. So that's how you can work with VS Code also. Okay. And there are other ways, tutorials given in this article which you should follow if you are working with different environments. So how to work with Mac OS, how to work with Linux, how to work with Windows and MinGW, and so on, different GCC compiler on Linux and so on, right? If you have Mac OS, then if you have already installed Xcode, then it has everything. It has C compiler inside. It has Xcode itself is an editor. So need not to do anything if you have Xcode in Mac OS. If you have Linux, then GCC compiler is by default available. You can work with any editor, and then you can go for command line tools like GCC is a command, then -o to generate output file, and then you give your test.c file, let's say. It is going to compile it, and then you run your output ./a.out. Then it is going to run your code. So there are another ways to work with Linux operating system without going for any installation, right? Well, this is for VS Code users. Okay. Now, if you don't want to be a part of this lengthy process, okay. For example, if you are using Windows, you can go for this emulators or these DOSBox examples, Blue Screen Turbo C. If you are Linux users, you can directly go and write C code, compile it, run it on command line, terminal. Okay. If you want to use VS Code, then this is the way you can use VS Code as an editor. And then additional compiler will require that. Now, if you don't want to go for this complex process, then Windows and Linux users can use Code Block. Now, this is a software. Code Blocks is a software which is available for Windows and Linux, and so you can go for maybe download sections, download the binary, and then just install that binary. It is going to download this entire software and install it. So this is actually a software. This is actually the IDE, Integrated Development Environment, where you can write your code, run it, compile it, debug it, everything you can do inside this place, right? So another option is to go for Code Blocks. Windows users or Linux users can go for Code Blocks. Just download a binary, install it, go for the next process, have your software installed, and then you run it. Now, for the first time when you start, you might want to go for manual, how you can start your project, because you cannot directly start writing your C code in a file. In a code block, you need to start with a project. You create your project, and inside that project, you create your first C file. Okay. Well, in that case, what you can do is you can simply YouTube how to work with code block C program. How to work with code block C program, and you'll have a plenty of video results which you can follow and initially start your project. Once you start that C program, then you can follow on whatever we continue in our lecture session or in a lab session. Well, so this is a code block IDE. If someone is comfortable with Eclipse platform, then you can also have Eclipse IDE for C++ developers. Okay, so you can install Eclipse IDE. Just go for the official website for Eclipse, download the installer, install it, then add on installer for C++, and you are ready. Okay, and inside that Eclipse IDE, you can work with C programs. So these are different ways Windows, Linux, or Mac OS can have either DOSBox, Windows DOSBox based example or emulator. In Linux, GCC compiler is already there. You can work on command line tool, or Windows and Linux may go for code block, or maybe let's say Mac OS users will have Xcode installed so that everything comes in a package. Or separately, what you need to do is you need to have a compiler installed and another IDE. Or all three operating systems, regardless of Windows, Linux, or Mac, you may go for Eclipse IDE. It is available for all three platforms. And still, if you say that, sir, I don't want to install anything, I don't want to be in a complex path of installing something like this, editors and compilers and all, then at present, being a first year student, remember, just for at present, you can always go for online C compilers, because there are a number of C compilers available online where you can go write your code, execute that code, and you'll have the output. So you'll be working in a browser. One dependency here is you need to have internet connection. Throughout your development process, you need to have internet connection. Then and then only you can work with online C compilers. So for initial few of the labs, I'll be using online C compilers so everyone can understand how to use it. Because I want to target all of you here, those who make use of mobile phones to attend these sessions, and also those who attend these sessions from systems. As long as you are live in this Google Meet, you have internet connection, and you can work with this online compilers here. So what you do is you simply write online C compiler, and you'll have a number of results here. Online GDB, best one as far as I'm concerned with. I'm much comfortable with online GDB, but there are a number of other online C compilers like Programiz. There is a Tutorials Point, CodeChef, JDoodle, Techie Delight, and so on. Pisa is also one of the good editor and compiler online, and so on, right? So if let's say we open some of these and show you how that happens. So first is this one. Let's say this is the online GDB C compiler. Now when you open this one, it already gives you a initial code here, right? Initial hello world program directly. Now if you are using this, what you can do is you can go to the home page of online GDB, and you can create your account, or let's say you can sign up here, and once you have your account, you can log into your account. If you log in, then you will have all your projects, all your files saved on their server. So maybe today you are working on a calculator and you are done with two functions, let's say two operations, plus and minus. Then you save this file, leave this page. Next week, Tuesday, when you come back, you log into your account and you will have your half code ready. Okay, and everything is saved on the online GDB server. So next time when you log in, you'll have your code ready. So that's one thing. You can also use social accounts to log in here. Fine. So I'll show you how you can write your code here and how to run, debug, and all those things, how to run your code and have the output at this place. But this is one online GDB compiler, online compiler. On this part, you write your code. Okay. On top, you have run button. You have debug button to debug your code. You have stop button. If your code is running infinitely, you can stop it. Here on the right side, you can select any of these languages to write your code. We will be always selecting C here because we will be writing C code. And in this place below here, you can have command line arguments, values, and you can select this radio button to have interactive console input. And this is the place where your output is going to be displayed. When you run your code, okay, if I run it right now, then at this place, I'm going to have my output, hello world. So that's the online GDB compiler. Now there are other compilers. Let's say this is Programmease compiler. It also gives you the basic hello world program here. So on the left side, you have main.c file where you can write your C code. Okay. Even on the left side, you have options to go for, let's say, Python or C or C++ or Java code. We will be working with C. So you write your C code at this place. And when you click on this run, on the right side, you are going to have your output. Now, not all the compilers provide you the let's say, interactive input example. Let me find that thing here. Not here. Well, just like you have seen earlier at this place, interactive console. I couldn't find Programmease has an interactive console. I'm not sure, but so interactive console is at a runtime. If you want your user to input something, then in some online compilers it will not happen. Okay. So let's say this one, online C compiler, JDoodle. So this is what the interactive website they have. Here you write your code. What they are doing is they have this basic example, value 10 and 25. Then it is going to add those values, have a result, and print that result. Okay, so you can toggle this interactive toggle button to have your interactive input, and then you can execute. So in this result section, you will have your output, sum of x plus y equals to 35. So this is one more online website which supports the interactive console input output. And here you can define any of the GCC compiler version if you want to. If you want to have a, if we look at Paiza, then here on a Paiza, this is the official website. You go for online C compiler, right? And let's say you start online C compiler, which is free. So you click on this button, and it has a similar UI, just like online GDB, right? So on top, what you do is you write your C code, and here you have a run button. So you run it, and at this place you'll have the output also. If I print something at this place, okay, If I write that thing and if I run this code, then you see the output at this place. Just bottom of your screen, you have that output, hello world. So these are some of the online C compilers. You can use any of the online C compiler or software or IDE, whatever you are comfortable with, you can use any of these things. I'm not rigid to any one software, remember. Okay. What I want is I want your perfectly running C code. That's what I want. C code, C program, which should run properly. That's what I want. I don't care whether you have developed it. Yeah, there are some differences based on the environment. If you see here, all the online compilers have stdio.h line. Okay. Just see here stdio.h, then stdio.h. So it is always going to be there, stdio.h. When you are working with C code, you will have stdio.h. Now, if you are working with Turbo C, then like this way, stdio.h, you'll have something like this also, conio.h. Okay. You'll also have this thing. These are the header files. We will discuss what is header file later. But these are the header files where some of the functionalities is already written and we want to use it. So just like this printf, if I want to use this printf, then I should have stdio.h. Similarly, that way, if I want to clear my screen, output screen, then I can use clr-scr, okay, like this way. Now this clr-scr is defined in console input output, conio.h. But this is only available, sorry, okay, this clr-scr and conio.h, this is only available in Turbo C, remember. If you are using Turbo C, then somewhere you will find these files, conio.h, okay, clr-scr and so on. But these are not supported in online or even in code blocks. If I run this code, then it gives me the error, clr-scr, right? So these methods, these functions are not supported in online program or even in code block also. Okay, code block does not have that conio.h file. So you should remember that thing. Otherwise, rest of the code will be same. Now this is only to clear the output screen. Now these does not support it because every time we run the code, it is always going to clear the previous output and going to generate the new output here. Okay. So it does not require this and this. But still, if you are working with Turbo C, you can write those lines if you want. Well, so that's what I wanted to explain today. Let me go through a few of the queries on the screen. So, same like PyCharm, okay. Kali Linux, Unix, Ubuntu all have pre-installed C compiler where we can directly do coding in terminal. Yes, Hers, you are correct. I've already told you, if you are using Linux, then GCC compiler is already there. You can simply use any of the text editor to write your code, then go to terminal and use GCC command to compile your C program. And you'll have the a.out file. Then you execute that file and you'll have the output. Viraj is saying online compiler must sign no in Karvuj per se. No, Viraj. As I run this code without sign in, it is not necessary that you need to sign in. You can use those compilers without creating an account. If you create an account, then your programs will be saved and will be available for next use. That's the additional benefit if you create your account there. Okay. Any more queries now? Okay, well, if not, then let me explain the basic structure of this C program first. So you understand what is this C program, how it is running, and how we can have that output. Once we understand that thing, then I'll give you your time to get your environment ready on your system. You install any of the software if you want, or go for the online editor, and then write your own code and run your first C program today. That's what our target is. Okay. So look, you can directly delete entire code given by the any of these editors initially. Okay. You can start your code by from the scratch itself. Now, generally, when we go for any C program, we will have a head section. Okay, we will have a global declaration section. Okay, we will have a main section, and we'll have a function section or routine section. Okay, head section or link section, whatever you call it. Any of the C program, you can divide in these 4 sections. All these sections are there for their specific task. Head or a link section is where we link header files. We include header files. Now, what are the header files? Header files are nothing but a C code. If we want to use something which is already defined, already created inside C, then we need to include its appropriate header file. So for example, later somewhere, let's say I want to print something on the screen. Print, let's say I want to print hello world. Okay, I want to print hello world on console screen. A console means this text screen we have. Okay, on that screen, if I want to print this hello world, then if I want to do this, I'm going to use printf. Printf. Remember, there is no space in between. Now this printf is a function actually, and this function is already written inside stdio.h. .h means it is a header file. So if I want to use this function, then I first need to include that file, stdio.h file. So I should include this one. Now how to include it? So there is a syntax. First you have hash sign, then you use include keyword, and then you have angular brackets. Okay, you can have space here, and if you don't do space, then also it will work. So hash include angular brackets and stdio.h. So this is how we include that file, because we want to use something which has been defined in this file. अगर मुझे कुछ ऐसा यूज करना है जो stdio.h के अंदर है, तो मैं सबसे पहले उसको इंक्लूड करूंगा. कहाँ पे? यहाँ हेड सेक्शन में. Then this is a global declaration section. If I want to declare something which needs to be global, global मतलब हर कोई access कर पाए. तो अगर इस तरह से मुझे कुछ declare करना है तो मैं यहाँ पे declare करूँगा. Now we will see this global declaration section later. Right now we need not to use it. Fine. We directly move to the next section, main section. Okay. So main section, again, when we start C language in lecture, I'll explain what is main. Right now, you just keep in your mind that main is a function, is a special function from where your program execution will start. Main is a special function. Special, why? Because your program execution will always start from main. Now, generally in Turbo C or so, you will see void main and this kind of bracket. And then you will see curly bracket like this way. So this is the syntax of writing main. Void means nothing. It is not going to return anything. What is returned will come later on. But this is how you should start your program. Void main, then normal bracket, and then curly bracket. Now in this online compilers, instead of void, you will find int main. Okay. So int main bracket, curly bracket. You start your curly bracket and you end your curly bracket. Now everything that you want to perform will be inside this pair of curly brackets. So my printf is inside this curly bracket here. Now this printf is a function coming from this header file. I can directly use it. So to use that thing, this is how I write. Printf, then parenthesis and a semicolon. Now C program language, in C program, all of your statements, look, I'm saying statements, single statement, will end with semicolon. All your statements here should end with semicolon, otherwise it is going to give you the error. Now this is the syntax that you need to follow. And inside this printf, whatever message I give, right, whatever message I give, it is going to print on your output screen. Let's say this is what the message we want on our output screen. So message, it is a string. It's a set of the characters. Okay. We are going to write string in double quote mark. Okay. So you have to write your string, your set of characters inside double quote. Now that is a message, and we pass that message to printf. Then printf is going to write this message on the output screen. So that's the main section. Here we can have any number of statements. This is one statement. I can have any number of statements here as I want. And the last one is a function section, subroutine section. Okay. We can have function, or you can call it subroutine. Then you can have a separate functions here. What are the functions? We will again see later. Right now, we have skipped global declaration section and subroutine section. Fine. We have seen head section and we have seen main section at this point of time. Head is where we need to include our header files, and main is where we are going to write our actual code. Now, if you want to use printf and scanf, you need to have stdio.h. Now, there are other methods available inside C, and if you want to use those things, you always need to include appropriate header file. And eventually, when we move towards other examples, I'll also tell you what all those header files we need to include here. So right now, this is what my basic program is. Okay. So if I run this one, then this online compiler is first going to compile this code line by line. Okay. It is going to compile this entire file line by line. Now, first line is empty. Second line have this double slash. Now, in C program, double slash means it is a comment. Comment. So, compiler is simply going to skip this line, this comment. So, it is going to skip this comment. It goes to line number 3 and then it links this header file to our program. Then go for line number 4, 5, 6 and 7. Okay. When it comes to line 8, it is going to compile this main function. So compile means what? It is going to convert your higher level language to the lower level language which machine can understand. So line by line, it is going to convert it. If any point of time it faces a problem, it generates the error. If there is no error, then it will successfully run this code. So let me click on this run button now. So it is compiling and now it is executing and we have the output here. Okay, hello world, hi 81 class. So if I forget to have this semicolon, okay, and if I run this code, it will give me error, right? Main.c, that's my file. Main.c is the file. In function main, so inside my main function, what it says, main.c file, 14th number line. Okay. So have a look at line number 14 at this place. Column number 1. So this is the first column, this is the first letter. At this place, there is an error and it says expected semicolon before curly closing bracket token. So all the times you'll have this self-explanatory error message regardless of any of the platform you are using, whether it is online, whether it is code block, whether it is terminal GCC compiler, or let's say Turbo C or Turbo C++. Everywhere you will have the same kind of error. Try to understand this error. It also gives you the sneak peek where that error has generated. So on this curly bracket, closing curly bracket, right? So go to that file, that line, that code, and try to understand what it says. It says expected semicolon. So before this one, there must be semicolon. So line number 13, 12, nothing, but line number 11, we forgot to have semicolon at the end. So I do that semicolon and then I run, it'll perfectly run this code. Okay. So this is what the basic C program is. Now again, let me go through some of the queries that you have posted here. Okay, Viraj is asking what is stdio. Look, stdio is nothing but a file. It is simple file. It is header file, so its extension is .h. But all those header files consist of a C code. Now, when you install your C language, when you install your compiler and all, this file is going to be there always. Okay. Your GCC compiler has this file. already with you. Turbo C, if you install, it will have this file. Code block, Eclipse, any of the things you install, it will have those things. stdio.h will be there, so that we can directly include it. I want to use some of the functionalities coming from this file. That's it. It is something like, let's say, I want to update a student information. Then I should have that student information already stored first. Then I can update it. So similarly here, I want to use printf. लेकिन ये printf मैंने तो नहीं बनाया, तो ये printf कहाँ पे है? वो printf इस फाइल के अंदर है और मुझे वो यूज़ करना है. तो मैं पहले ये फाइल को इंक्लूड करूँगा, बाद में printf को यूज़ करूँगा. ओके? Then Vyom is saying, sir, should we include all the header files so we need not to have to worry later? Well, you can do that thing, but let me explain something. जब आप कोई भी फाइल को इंक्लूड करते हो, तो ये हैश इंक्लूड, हैश क्या करता है? वो एक्चुअली प्री प्रोसेसर है. वो क्या करेगा? ये जो फाइल है stdio.h फाइल, वो फाइल का पूरा कोड उठा के लेके आएगा और यहाँ लाइन नंबर 3 पे डाल देगा उसको. ओके? अब आपने बनाया 16 लाइन का कोड. राइट नाउ, excuse me, right now you have written 16 lines of code, but when you are going to compile this code, it is actually going to fetch this header file and put that header file at this place, line number 3. अब ये header file अगर 100 लाइन का कोड कंटेन करती है, अगर ये फाइल 100 लाइन की है, तो आपका एक्चुअल कोड 116 लाइन का हो जाएगा. ओके? And then it will be compiled, and then it is going to generate your executable code. So आपके लिए आपका कोड छोटा है, लेकिन जब आप एक से ज़्यादा हेडर फाइल इंक्लूड करते हो, तो आपका रिजल्टिंग कोड जो है वो लंबा हो जाएगा. अब अगर आप कोई ऐसी फाइल इंक्लूड करते हो जिसकी फंक्शनलिटी आपने कहीं पे यूज़ नहीं की है, देन उसका कोड इंक्लूड तो हो जाएगा, लेकिन वो कोई काम का नहीं होगा. So unnecessarily, it is going to generate your file, larger one. Unnecessarily, you are going to have that code which you are not using in your project. We should avoid this kind of exercises. अगर मेरा सॉफ्टवेयर बड़ा हो जाएगा, जो 5 MB में मैं कर सकता हूँ, उसके लिए मैंने 500 MB का कोड लिख दिया, तो मेरा सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल कौन करेगा? राइट? सो आई थिंक आई एम क्लियर. व्योम? या इवन वी कैन, अगर हमारा रिजल्टिंग कोड छोटा है तो वो जल्दी एग्जीक्यूट होगा. ओके? So do not include unnecessary files. Only include those files which you are going to use in your program. Okay, Hers is asking, sir, what is orange color on include is indicating? Yeah, look, these colors will depend on which editor you are using. Okay, online editor will have different kind of color indication. If you go for code block, then as you can see here, you have some blue, some red, some green colors. Okay, even if you go for Turbo C, then these are the colors you will have inside that. So that color indication is just based on it depends on which IDE you are using, which editor you are using. It only helps us to understand what this code is about. all the functions inside my C code will be of red color if I'm using online GDB. All the includes will have this kind of orange color. All the comments will have this kind of rust color, right? And so on. You will also see some color options for other code, variable declaration and so. But that color is just for us to easily understand. It has some meaning, okay? But that depends on the editor you are using. So never rely on colors always. Okay. Then Viraj is asking, a hello world ED1 class એટલું શો કરવા માટે આટલું બધું કોડિંગ કેમ કરવું પડે? Yeah, okay, Viraj. Look, કોડિંગ થોડુંક વધારે લાગશે તમને. Look, I'm explaining in your language itself. You know, whoever asked me the question, I intend to answer in the same language so that person will understand his question easily, answer easily. Yeah, so Viraj, just એક મેસેજ આપવા માટે પણ આટલું લાંબુ કોડિંગ કરવું પડે. That's correct. Now all these are the comments. Just તમે સમજી શકો એના માટે હતી આ comments, right? So હું જો comments કાઢી નાખું તો મારો resulting code આટલું થશે. Actually I have written 4 lines. ડેવલપરે ખરેખર કમેન્ટ લખવી જોઈએ, કારણ કે ડેવલપર લાઈફ ટાઈમ માટે એક જગ્યાએ નહીં રહે, એક કંપની સાથે નહીં રહે, બટ કંપની પાસે એ કોડ લાઈફ ટાઈમ માટે રહેશે. સો બીજો કોઈ ડેવલપર આવે તો એ સમજી શકે, એટલે હંમેશા કમેન્ટ્સ લખવી જોઈએ. યુ શુડ રાઇટ કમેન્ટ્સ ઇન યોર કોડ ઓલવેઝ, સો દેટ after some time you can understand your code easily using those comments, or even after you, if another developer comes, then that person can also easily understand your code. That's why comments are required. It is not necessary. Yeah, હવે એમ કહું કે 4 લાઈનનો કોડ લખવો પડ્યો. હા, એ લખવો પડે because we as a programmer, આપણને ખબર નથી, એઝ અ પ્રોગ્રામર આપણને નથી ખબર કે આ જે આઉટપુટ સ્ક્રીન છે એક્સેસ કેમ થાય. મને નથી ખબર કે અહીંયા આઉટપુટ સ્ક્રીન, તમારા સ્ક્રીન ઉપર જે આ દેખાય છે મેસેજ, આ પાર્ટ મારે કેમ એક્સેસ કરવો મને નથી ખબર. ઇવન તમારા સિસ્ટમની અંદર કમાન્ડ લાઈન તમારે કઈ રીતે એક્સેસ કરીને મેસેજ આપવો એ નથી ખબર. તમારે મતલબ એઝ અ પર્સન યુ નો કે ભાઈ ટર્મિનલ ડબલ ક્લિક કરીશ તો ઓપન થશે, બટ હંમેશા એ પરફોર્મ કરવા માટે તમે નહીં હો, તમે સોફ્ટવેર બનાવી અને કોકને ઇન્સ્ટોલ કરી આપશો. એ પર્સનને નથી ખબર કે કમાન્ડ કઈ રીતે ઓપન થાય, એટલે તમે સોફ્ટવેર લખો છો. લાઈક લેટ્સ સે બેંકના કેશિયર વિન્ડો પર જે માણસ બેઠો છે, જે કેશિયર બેઠો છે, એને નથી ખબર કે આ બધા ઓપરેશન કેમ થાય, એટલે તમે એને સોફ્ટવેર બનાવીને આપો છો. તો જ્યારે આપણે સોફ્ટવેર બનાવશું ત્યારે થોડુંક લેન્ધી કોડિંગ થશે, બિકોઝ એ પર્સનને નથી ખબર કે એના સિસ્ટમમાં કઈ રીતે કામ ચાલે. તો એના સિસ્ટમમાં કઈ રીતે કામ ચાલે એનો કોડ આપણે લખીએ છીએ. So just now I don't know how to access this black output screen, so I need to use printf, કારણ કે printf ને ખબર છે કે આ મેસેજ કઈ રીતે પ્રિન્ટ થાય. તો હું જસ્ટ printf ને કહી દઈશ કે તું આ મેસેજ પ્રિન્ટ કરી દે. હવે આ printf ક્યાં છે? તો એકચ્યુઅલી printf તો આ ફાઇલની અંદર છે, તો મારે ફાઇલ પણ અહીંયા લાવવી પડશે અને પછી કહેવું પડશે કે આ મારો મેઇન પ્રોગ્રામ છે જે એક્ઝિક્યુટ થવો જોઈએ. A special function from where execution will start. Okay, એટલે મારે મેઇન લખવું પડશે. So that's why we need to we need to write this line of code to just print a message on your screen. પણ અત્યારે તમારી સામે એક્ઝામ્પલ હતું જસ્ટ એક મેસેજનું. નોટ ઓનલી ધ મેસેજ, તમે જ્યારે કોમ્પ્લેક્સ ટાસ્ક માટેનો કોડ અહીંયા લખશો તો તમને એવું લાગશે કે ઓહ, ઓછા કોડમાં ઘણું બધું થાય છે. ઓકે, so that's why coding is important. I hope, Viraj, I have given your answer now. Okay, Sonu is asking, sir, mobile phone code type कर सकते हैं? Yes, Sonu, you can open this website, online GDB, or this program is, or maybe JDoodle. All these are websites. You can open these websites in your mobile itself, and then you can type any of the code inside your mobile and you can execute your code. So it's possible. That's why I am explaining this a little bit more, so that everyone can perform their program. अगर उनके पास कोई सिस्टम नहीं है, अगर वो कोई सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल नहीं कर पा रहे हैं because of any reason, then you can use these online compilers and you can always run your code. Let me clarify. I have explained, मैंने ये बता दिया कि आप online compiler कैसे use कर सकते हो. So I don't want any excuses now कि सर मेरे पास C compiler नहीं है, सर मैं इंस्टॉल नहीं कर पाया सॉफ्टवेयर अच्छे से, या मेरे सिस्टम में C प्रोग्राम एग्जीक्यूट नहीं होता, कंपाइल नहीं होता. I don't want any of the excuses. If you have any problem, go to online C compiler, write your program, execute it. I want your program to run perfectly. Okay? Okay, Vyom is asking, sir, what editor or IDE you use or recommend? Look, I do use multiple IDEs. When I was having Windows platform, Windows operating system, I was using Code Block and Turbo C emulator, both. अगर कोई लड़का ऐसे आता है कि सर मुझे ब्लू स्क्रीन में ही समझ में आता है, then I use Turbo C emulator. Otherwise, I use Code Block. Now, when I moved to Linux operating system, I use Code Block and I use Eclipse there. Okay, Eclipse has a nice support there. So I make use of those two softwares. And nowadays, I'm using macOS right now. So I use Xcode to write my programs. I also use VS Code to work with web platform. Okay, so I have installed VS Code also. You see here, Visual Studio Code. But I don't use VS Code for C programs. Instead of that, I simply go for online editors like this way. So अगर एक छोटा सा कोड लिख के मुझे टेस्ट करना है या किसी स्टूडेंट को समझाना है, then I always use online C compilers, so that even that student can follow along with me and write the code there. Okay, so Yon, I think I'm clear. Okay, you are also asking what would be best for low-end laptops. Well, for low-end laptops, Code Blocks is okay. You can install Code Blocks in any of the system, even having low memory system. And still, if you have kind of a problem, then always go for this website. Because when you use these websites, it is going to compile your code on their server, not on your PC. It is going to send this code to the server. Server will compile, generate the output, and send the output. So that output will be displayed at this place. And none of the execution will be done on your PC if you are using online compilers. Okay. Harsh is also asking, migrating of website means. Well, that's the total different domain. It's a web development process, website migrating. If you want to migrate one website from one place to another, one platform to another platform, that's where migrating comes to the picture. Let's not dive into that part right now. We don't want to follow a different path here. Hers is saying, sir, mobile માં compiler ના હોય તો આ બધું compiling site ના server માં થતું હોય. Yes, correct. મોબાઈલમાં તમારી પાસે કમ્પાઇલર નહીં હોય, એટલે જ કહું છું કે તમે આ વેબસાઇટ યુઝ કરો, ઓનલાઈન વેબસાઇટ્સ. એક પણ લાઇન ઓફ કોડ તમારા મોબાઈલમાં કે સિસ્ટમમાં કમ્પાઇલ નહીં થાય. તમે જે કોડ અહીંયા આ ઉપરના ભાગમાં લખશો એ આખો કોડ સેન્ડ થશે સર્વરને. સર્વર એ કોડને કમ્પાઇલ કરશે, રન કરશે, આઉટપુટ જનરેટ કરશે અને એ આઉટપુટ તમને પાછું મોકલશે. સો એ આઉટપુટ તમારા આઉટપુટ સ્ક્રીનમાં દેખાય એટ ધીસ પ્લેસ. Okay, so you need not to install any of the compiler here if you are using online C compilers. Yeah, any more queries now? Look, at the end, we are writing C code, so structure same રહેશે, syntax same રહેશે, almost everything will be same. આખો કોડ પણ સેમ રહેશે. ઇવન આ આખો કોડ ઉપાડી અને હું કોડ બ્લોકમાં નાખીશ તો પણ રન થશે, વિઝ્યુઅલ સ્ટુડિયો કોડમાં નાખીશ તો પણ રન થશે, એક્સ કોડમાં નાખીશ તો પણ રન થશે, because at the end it is a C program, right? As long as I have a proper C compiler, I can compile it. અને ચલો તમે એમ વિચારો છો કે if you don't want to compile every time, then you compile it once, તમારો આઉટપુટ જનરેટ થઈ જશે, રાઈટ? તમે શું કરશો, તમારો સી કોડને એક વખત કમ્પાઇલ કરો તો એક એક્ઝિક્યુટેબલ કોડ જનરેટ થઈ જાય. હવે એ એક્ઝિક્યુટેબલ ફાઇલ તમારી પાસે રાખો તો તમારે હર વખતે કમ્પાઇલ કરવાની જરૂર નહીં પડે. બટ રિમેમ્બર, when you change your code, you need to recompile it. અત્યારે hello world hi ed1 class આ મારો કોડ છે, બટ જો હું hi ed1 મેસેજ કાઢી નાખું તો મેં મારા કોડની અંદર ચેન્જ કર્યો. I have changed my code here, and in that case I again need to compile it. So when I click on this run button, it is first going to compile it and then it will run. So if you make any of the changes, then you need to recompile. Otherwise, whatever executable file has been generated, you can use that executable file, always run your code, and you'll have the same output. Clear? So any more queries now? Okay, so just post your enrollment numbers in the chat box. I'm going to record your enrollment numbers through the chat, and then I'll have your attendance. Just write your enrollment number and post it in a chat box. Only enrollment number, okay? No name. Name is already there. Very quickly post your enrollment number in the chat box. Yeah, simultaneously we have one or two more queries. So Vyom is asking, sir, can command prompt do the work? Well, if you have GCC installed already, then you can go for it. Just Google how to compile using GCC command. You'll have the entire command GCC-O to generate output, and then later on you specify your .c extension file. So if you are working with file, you are going to save this file with .c extension, just like main.c. Okay, so you pass in, it is going to compile it, it will generate one file, executable file, and then you can run that file. Hers is saying, sir, if site crashes, that all data of our program and all will be lost. So is it okay to use online site? And that's why I'm saying what you should do is you log in to this platform. Okay, look, if you are working with a file and your system crashes, तो आपका कोड जाने ही वाला है ना. That's what happens with this online compilers. You write your code here. If you are logged in, then you can save your code. So थोड़ी देर में आप अपनी फाइल सेव करते जाओ तो वो उसके सर्वर में आपकी फाइल जो है वो सेव कर लेगा. अगर वो फाइल सेव हो चुकी है, then next time when you open this website, you will have your entire code available. Another benefit for going for this kind of online compilers is you can access your code from anywhere. अगर आपने फाइल क्रिएट करके आपके सिस्टम में सेव की तो वो फाइल आप अपने सिस्टम में ही एक्सेस कर पाओगे, आपके मोबाइल में नहीं मिलेगी. लेकिन अगर आप ये ऑनलाइन सी कंपाइलर यूज़ करते हो, आपने अपना अकाउंट बनाया है, देन you write your code here in the computer, close it, go and open the same code in your mobile, edit it, save it, give that file access to your friend, you can collaborate there, and so on, right? So those are some of the benefits you can achieve if you are going for online compilers. Yeah, okay, so now what we'll do is I'm going to stop this recording. That's all that I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to stop this recording, but now you have your time to set up your environment. जो भी आप चाहो, कोई सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल करना है, कोड ब्लॉक इंस्टॉल करना है, VS कोड सेटअप करना है, Eclipse इंस्टॉल करना चाहते हो, then go for it, download those things, install it on your system. If you face any problem, just ask me, we will solve those problems. Okay? If you don't want to go for all these exercises, go for any of these online compilers and just write your first program from the scratch. अगर default code आपको तैयार मिलता है तो delete करो उसको, पहले ये पूरा delete कर दो, and then try to write your own code, hash include stdio.h, int main, curly bracket, printf, your name, your full name, closing curly bracket, and then execute that thing. Just try to have your name on the output result. That's what our task is for today. इतना हो जाएगा तो next lab से हम अपना program start कर पाएंगे. Okay? Fine. So let me stop this recording at this place and you start working on your environment building or yourself, getting yourself comfortable with whatever editor you want to use today. So go for it, and wherever you face any problem, you can ask me. We all will be here till the end of this session. Okay? So do your work now.